Welcome everyone to Thursdays with Franco. And today, Stuart Coggins rejoins me as regular panelist, and we've got our special guest, Fauzi Tahir. And today's topic is about a capability called Oracle GoldenGate. Welcome, Fauzi.
Thanks, Franco. Good to be here.
So, Fauzi, let's get stuck straight into it. What is Oracle GoldenGate? And I hear you've got a couple of demos planned today.
Yes, I do indeed. So Oracle GoldenGate has been around for a long time. We've got thousands of customers, especially those that have mission critical data like financial institutions, to help them make sure, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to ensure as we, especially if you've got a multi-cloud environment or even multiple database that you're trying to replicate data, you don't want the source database to go down as you're actually transferring or integrating the data or replicating data to target. So business continuity is very important, as well as that continuous data flow. So the traditional approach has always been, especially if you're trying to do reporting against it, is to have a batch extract file happening overnight. But by that time, it may take maybe overnight to get the information into a data warehouse or data lake or your reporting database. And by that time, the data is already stale. So with GoldenGate, you can actually replicate that data across to your target database and immediately do some insights upon it as well.
That's impressive. That's impressive. So the Oracle GoldenGate capability, it's a non-intrusive capability where you can keep different databases in sync in near real time.
Absolutely. So back in, so that's the well and trusted Oracle GoldenGate. Back in April, I believe, of last year, we brought out the native cloud capability of OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure GoldenGate. So the difference of that is that it is fully managed by Oracle, and what that means is, you've got all the patching, the operating system, the storage, the network is all handled by Oracle. So that's a key bonus for us. And if we look at where we're at the moment, there's still obviously some improvements to happen. For the OCI, the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure GoldenGate service, it is only Oracle to Oracle. So that will change in the near future to be able to support more sources as well as targets. Okay.
Right.
So if I show us to what we have at the moment with GoldenGate, OCI GoldenGate, is there's several patterns. So the first one you see on your top left is the OCI Autonomous Database to OCI Autonomous Database. So it could be from an ATP or transaction processing or to a database, to a data warehouse, autonomous data warehouse, or autonomous data warehouse to autonomous data warehouse. So the thing is, you can replicate multiple databases as well and keep all those databases on the target side in sync. So irrelevant of whether somebody's doing some insights on data warehouse 1 versus data warehouse 2, you know that the data is going to be consistent. Okay.
And I think that includes database cloud service as well, if I'm right, Fauzi.
Absolutely.
Any of our cloud instances of database. So that's the native one. Yes. Supports Oracle to Oracle.
Yes, yeah. Correct.
So there is an alternative though.
Yes. So for non-Oracle database, now I did mention for the native service, OCI GoldenGate, it's only Oracle to Oracle. But in the interim, if you look at, say, pattern number 8, which what we're going to go through in the demo today, is we have on Marketplace an image specifically for non-Oracle databases. So that's the little bit of I guess ability to then pull information from, say, PostgreSQL to an autonomous data warehouse. Okay.
And that's customer managed. So that's a marketplace that we deploy, and that then becomes managed by the cloud customer. Yeah. So that's the difference between the native version and the marketplace image.
Absolutely. So and at the moment, so before I move on to the next slide, just to highlight in phase 2, where we'll eventually we'll remove that OCI marketplace image so that it's all on a single console. So it's all going through OCI GoldenGate as well. So again, that will be the Oracle managed environment. So if we look at what specifically pattern 8 is about, it's about doing that near real-time change data capture into OCI. In this instance, what we're going to see is this Postgres should be SQL, to an autonomous data warehouse. Now, the key thing is that if you look at the marketplace image for the PostgreSQL, there's a free promo at the moment. So the only thing is that, as Stuart's mentioned, it is customer managed. So let's go into just setting the scene of what you're going to see today in the demonstration. On the top left, you'll see a mobile device. It could be on a tablet, it could be on a laptop, it could be on a phone. That's updating mission critical information into the PostgreSQL database on the left-hand side. So in this instance, we're focusing specifically on the countries and the cities table. We're going to replicate that data to a reporting database, which is the Autonomous Data Warehouse. And then be able to then go do your querying and visualizations, etc. The way we do that without any downtime to the PostgreSQL, the source database, is through that OCI GoldenGate service. Okay. So let me just pause there and just get my demo environments up and going.
So just to be clear, you're going to show us a source Postgres capability running on some sort of compute VM Postgres database. You're going to show some data in there. You're also going to show us an autonomous database running, and you're using the GoldenGate microservices marketplace image to actually keep the Postgres database in sync with the autonomous database.
Absolutely, yes. So what you're seeing at the moment is I just got bumped off, so I'm just reconnect. Oops, excuse me. Let me just close that and reconnect.
And I'm finding it hard to see, Fauzi. My eyes are not as good as yours.
So I should be...
Thank you for saying that, Franco.
Okay, so I forget that there are people with a little bit of eyesight.
Careful.
Okay, I was trying to be very tactful, okay. Let me so I'll increase my screen.
It's laptop screens are getting smaller. That's what it is, Fauzi. It's
yes,
nothing to do with our health or our eyes.
Is that better for you guys?
That is better.
Awesome. Okay, let me just go in and change that IP address. So I'm connecting to the Postgres database or the instance, and now I'm going to connect to the parking data data. So so this is a cloud shell that I'm launching from the OCI console, and I've logged into the source database, okay, which is PostgreSQL. So let me just type in or copy and paste just to get a baseline of where we're at. So in the countries table, we've got three records. In the cities table, we've got 5 records. Now, if I do the same select statement from, just copy and paste the one for the autonomous database. And here we go. Okay, so the first one, the countries, you should see 3 records. And let me pull that up a little bit. Increase the size.
Thank you for that.
You don't even have to tell me now. And then we'll do the cities one as well. So baseline, like for like.
So this screen is the target database, and
yes,
the one that looks like a terminal is the source Postgres.
Absolutely. Thank you. Now, if we go to the microservices, so this is for the Postgres, the source database, is you'll see that we've got in the services console, all the services that is running. So it's OGG Marketplace. And the admin service is where you start to actually define or define your parameters as to what you want to capture on the source. So I've created a PG extract, and I can go in and have a look as to how I've defined that in the parameters. And all I've said is put it in the extract. So this is event-based driven. So anything, whether it's inserts, updates, deletes, etc., is captured in the log file. And that's how we'll actually then ship that log file in simple terms to the target to then replicate that information. So that's key, because you can actually at any point of time check to see as to what changes have happened. What has happened. So I'm just saying map all the countries, cities, parkings, etc., to the target database. There's also some very nice things that you can have a look to actually go and immediately, rather than go and create SQL statements to do, to check the log files. You can actually go and view the table statistics. And at the moment, we've put in 19 inserts into the cities and 3 inserts into the countries. So just focus on those 2 numbers for now, because what we'll start doing is running and updating the source database, and we should see these inserts change. So I'll go in and grab one of the first groups just to test to make sure that it's happening. Let me just go grab this one.
So 19 inserts for cities and 3 for countries.
Yeah. So I'm going back to my source command line, and I'm going to do an insert into the countries. So that's already inserted. I'll go very quickly to the SQL database. I haven't stopped it, and I'll do the same query, repeat the same query on the countries. And you should actually see that that's already updated. Now, I've made a mistake there, obviously, because Oz country ID should be Australia, not Austria. So let's go in and change that. But very quickly, let's see what's been captured in the statistics that we showed you. So I'll do a refresh. So there, I'm expecting the countries to go to number 4 to say 4 records have been inserted. And that's what we've seen there. Let's do a little bit more queries and inserts and updates on the source database and see what happens. So let me just very quickly say.
So I noticed there are 2 updates on countries, and it sounds like you're going to change Austria to Australia. Yep. So those 2 updates will change to 3 updates.
Correct. And let me just do that update now. So I'll do this multiple. So first I'll do the update. Then I will go in and insert into the cities table. Okay. So I've updated 1 record in the countries, and I've inserted about 7 records. Again, let me go to my target database and very quickly just run that query again. And I should see now it's showing Australia. Same thing for cities. I should have an additional 7 records there. So this is the ones with the country IDs, Australia. And then we'll go back to our microservices. And now we should see the inserts increase on the cities. And as Franco mentioned, updates should be increased by 1. There you go.
Cool.
Right. So some other things this is on the microservices. I'm just going to highlight. This is the interim target source. There's nothing happening here. This is where the OCI GoldenGate is where you actually see that. So if I go similarly, now I'm looking at the Oracle GoldenGate services 21.5 on the right-hand side. So similarly, you'd be able to see the statistics like what we saw on the source. Another thing that I find very useful is, I mean, we've got to be honest here, right? We're not updating significant amount of data, but when you do, this is where your performance metric services becomes very useful. You can actually go in and look on and monitor what's happening in the background. So this is real time. So at any point of time, you can actually see as to what's been happening. And you would expect, of course, whenever an insert or whenever it's reading the log files, that there'll be peaks and troughs as well. So very useful to have that on hand to view as to if there's something happening or something not happening in the background. With that, I am, basically that was the pattern 8, which was the non-Oracle database using marketplace image, going to OCI GoldenGate services. So with, I'm just going back to my slide deck. In terms of the OCI ATP to ADW, this is where we're actually looking at pattern number 1. So OCI database to OCI database, in this instance, autonomous transaction processing to autonomous data warehouse. And you'll see with this that there's only a single interface. Both the extract and the replicate is on a single interface, and that makes it so much more easy rather than swapping between two browser windows. Actually, Franco, quick question to you. I know I pointed you to a hands-on live lab showing this capability of ATP to ADW. I'd be really keen to understand as to how you went with that.
Yeah, you showed that to me a couple of weeks ago, and the whole idea of that was within something like a half an hour, I could follow the bouncing ball on Oracle Live Labs, provisioning a virtual compute network, provisioned a source ATP, provisioned a target ADW. I then provisioned the GoldenGate native cloud service. Within that interface, I could simply register the two databases. And once you had done that registration, a lot of the credential information was automatically available for the GoldenGate instances, the instance that was there. And then there was an actual little schema you set up. You had to unload, reload data. Since then, I've actually gone ahead and tried to make sure I do understand that. I've actually created my own schemas. I've gone in and had a bit of a play, tried the filters. What I was impressed with was I could actually create tables on the fly in the source ATP, and they would automatically appear near real time, delete them, etc. So that's actually quite a handy Live Labs hands-on.
Brilliant. I know I'm putting you probably on the spot. Are you able to actually show that to us? Because that's the thing, that parameter file, the one that I showed you with Postgres, the extract, really was just copy data, insert data, delete data. But if it's a database structure, like in creating a new table, that'd be really cool to see.
No, I don't want to show you, Fauzi.
Okay. I thought this title was Thursdays with Franco. But if you don't want to show that, that's fine. But it'd be great if you have that handy.
Okay. If you stop sharing, I get it. If you stop sharing, I'll share.
No problems. You're just trying to be difficult because you're not well, right?
So let me. Okay. So here in Oracle Live Labs, here's the actual tutorial, the hands-on lab. If you just do a search on GoldenGate, there's about 3 or 4 of them that come up. And here it is. It takes you through creating the VCN, the source ATP, the target ADW, then creating the OCI GoldenGate deployment. I will say that actually does take of the order of 20 minutes, half an hour. Then registering the databases, that took no time. then creating the extract and the replicate. And this here talks about exporting and importing. I actually worked out I could get away with not having to do that, and then monitoring the extracts and doing that. So let me just show you what I've got here. As Fauzi said, I'm actually in the South Korea data center. I've got a source ATP and I've got a target ADW. I'm going to use SQL Developer as my interface for the source ATP. And I will also use the database actions window as my interface to look at the data in the target ADW. So the client SQL Developer for source ATP, wait for this to come up, and the browser database actions for the for that. And I'll click on SQL. So you can see this is really live. And the schema I'm actually playing with is, it's actually OCI GoldenGate LL4. You can see I've been playing and trying different things out. The actual tutorial goes through, talks about source, mirror, source, OCI GGLL, but I will stick with what I've got, with what I'm continuing. And you'll notice I've got two tables here, departments and employees. And in the target, it actually creates these housekeeping tables called check tables. And if I just grab departments, I come here and I go select and I hit apply and I hit run.
I've just learned something. I didn't know you could drag and drop like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, neither did I until I did it by accident, Stu. And over here, you can do exactly the same thing. Select.
The simple things.
And now Fauzi has already shown us if I update the data. So I'm actually not going to do that. What I will do, I'll actually show you the create table thing. But as Fauzi explained, in her console, she purely had one of these. In my console, because it's Oracle from source ATP to target ADW, I actually get two of these. Now, if I had 4 or 5 extracts, there'd be more of these. If I had 4 or 5 more replicate too, I'd have more of these. So that explains some of those patterns and how you go about it. I'm just going to click and take you to that parameters window. And as Fauzi said, I've got DD include all. So that means that's why I can capture that other stuff. If I look at statistics, and at the moment, I'd actually look at, there's 21 DDL and there's 150 inserts that have occurred on this table called to-dos. So let's actually go back to my source ATP. I'm actually going to, I'll clear that window, just get rid of that. And a couple of weeks ago, Stuart actually showed us how to use this thing called Quick SQL. And with Quick SQL, I actually used the help capability to actually just create some these tables, assignees and to-dos. And the only thing I did was make sure it goes into the OCI GGL4 schema. I make sure it's going to be executed against source ATP. I'm now going to hit execute that. Oops, let me hit that again. Something went wrong. Okay, now it's executing. And there'll be about 50 odd inserts. So that data is actually whirring away on the source ATP database right now. We'll wait for it to finish. So that's just finished. If I click on the table here and I go refresh, you can see I've got assignees and to-dos. That wasn't there before. So at the moment it's 21, 150 there. If I go refresh, you can see I've got 26 DDL statements, and we've gone up by 50 in the to-dos that's there. I'll actually go to this database here and I'll just do a refresh. I've now got the to-dos. I'll get rid of this. I'll drag that over to here, hit the select, hit apply, and hit the, let's run this thing. And now I've got all this data: onboard module, resulting control system. They're the to-dos. And if I come over to here, let me get rid of that, and I'll just drag over the to-dos over. Oh, I screwed that up. To-dos, and I'll click data. There you go, and the data looks quite similar. So very briefly, you've seen I've got the following that live lab. I've actually been able to go through that process. I have veered off that live lab and tried a few different things. Quite impressed with what you can play with there. The other thing I'll actually just bring up is this is the deployment, which you just follow the bouncing ball. But I did not have to set up anything else, backups and all that sort of thing. That just comes out of the box with this sort of experience. And if you've got a few databases popping up in your tenancy, you can actually go register and it will discover them and bring them in respectively. So yeah, you can see I could have screwed that up, but that demo seemed to actually prove a few of the points that Fauzi was highlighting.